All right, so the Rams have a problem this weekend, and you're going to want to share this with a Rams fan. All right, guys, let's get into it. DeAndre Swift is the problem. And if you haven't been paying attention, he has 59 carries for 364 yards, a 6.2 yards per carry average, and 2 rushing touchdowns since becoming the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, here's the thing. This team averages 35 run plays a game. And going into this Rams game, if the Rams want to go 3-2, they're going to have to limit the possessions that DeAndre Swift, the former Lion, is receiving. And now, here's how they're going to do this. You need to get them in a position where they can no longer run the ball. The Eagles are not going to run the ball if they're down by multiple possessions. And it's easier said than done to beat the NFC champions, but it's also way easier said than done to get up on them by more than 2 scores or more than 1 score. So the Rams defense has to be on their A game. However, here's my concern, and this is just being entirely honest and blunt as possible to get you to know what's going on. The Seattle Seahawks, Kenneth Walker, the third, runs for 12 carries, 64 yards. Now, why did he not get the ball more? Well, if you didn't actually watch the game and you only saw the box score, then that's what you came away thinking. What the hell's going on? Why didn't he get the ball more? Well, the reason is they abandoned the run due to the fact this became a blowout game. The Rams only gave up 12 yards of total offense in the second half, and they only gave up 1 first down. The defense was utterly amazing, and the offense was utterly atrocious. And so what ended up happening was they could no longer run the ball even though it worked. The Rams defense feasted. There you go. They get out of that. Then you go to week 2 against the 49ers. Christian McCaffrey has a huge explosive play where he goes for 40-plus yards on a long run down the left sideline. Everyone talks about the stiff arm to Ahkello Witherspoon, but in reality, that's all anybody was talking about. They weren't talking about the fact the Rams defense held him to under 3.6 yards per carry, rather. If you take away that explosive. The reason why they don't care is because the explosive made it a 116-yard game on 20 carries, which is a very good day at the office for CMC. Now, here's the issue. The Rams really struggled to defend, to defend Christian McCaffrey all game long. If it wasn't in the run game, it was the receiving game. So that was kind of almost, you could make the argument it was an extension of the running game. And to be fair to the Rams defense, I thought they did a nice job against Christian McCaffrey, who had the quietest 152-yard performance against the Steelers I've ever seen. But they did give up that explosive run. And that is what the Eagles are going to look for. Not just Jalen Hurts, who can also tuck it and run it, but also DeAndre Swift, who's just taken his game to another level in Philly. The Bengals. You look at Joe Mixon, 19 carries, 65 yards, and a touchdown. The Rams held him to under 4 yards per carry, way under 4 yards per carry, under 3.5 to be exact. So, look, Joe Mixon, why am I bringing him up? Well, I thought the Rams did a really nice job on their defensive side of the ball, keeping him in check. However, here's the issue, and this is important. Every time the Bengals ran the ball, they wore down that defense. It's like a depreciating product. You can have a great defense, you can have a great computer, but eventually, if you continue to use it and you abuse it, like, say, the offense is abusing the defense, it's going to go downhill. It's not going to be the same. The computer won't work the same. The defense doesn't work the same. So as the game progresses, it's like they're depreciating, essentially. So when you run the ball consistently, like the Bengals did in that second half, it wore down the defense enough for them to finally get into the end zone with Joe Mixon. This is something Philly has done before, and this is something Philly can do right now. So the key is for them, of course, to not get away from the run. And then, of course, the last game that we just saw, the Colts game. The Rams did a nice job making this a 23-0 affair. What they didn't do was protect that lead. A lot of things went sideways, and of course, as we know, the Colts eventually tied it up. But the Colts brought back the guns. And what I mean by that is Zach Moss. He has both guns because the way he played against the Rams, say what you will about his yards per carry average, 18 for 70, that man was running with pure power. And so he is a brute force for a defense trying to tackle him. And in those key spots, he's able to pick up those first downs and move the chains. And those are things that you don't talk about because at the end of the day, you see 18 carries for 70 yards and you're like, it wasn't that bad of a day, but it wasn't that great, But watching the game, you could see he was doing a number on the defense. So that brings me to this point. The Rams defense gives up 4.4 yards per carry. It's 111 yards per game, and they're considered about middle of the pack, around 15th in the league against the run. Jonah Williams is a top 5 run defender this year in the interior. His run stop rate is 5th according to PFF. And an important thing here is the Eagles' offense is really, really good. Their offensive line is one of the best in all of football. Cam Jurgens may or may not play here, okay? He's their left guard, but regardless if he plays or not, this is still a great unit nonetheless. And I think really what it comes down to is the Rams are going to have to stop the run, and they can do. They have guys like Aaron Donald, of course, I mentioned Jonah Williams, Bobby Brown, Kobe Turner. They have guys that are capable, plus Ernest Jones and Christian Roseboom in the secondary level, or the second level. The secondary, you have guys that can help in run support. But here's the thing. You can run on this team. So if the Rams can't stop, DeAndre Swift for whatever reason, it could be a long day. However, what they need to be able to do here, the Rams have to force them into a position, and this is what they're going to try to do. Force them in a position where they have to pass, because the Rams' pass defense is in the top 8 in the NFL right now. Ahkello Witherspoon is having as good of a year as anyone could have imagined, if not beyond that. And honestly, the same thing goes with Darion Kendrick, who not a lot of people really were high on coming into the year. But both have played at a very high level, and the secondary, all in all, has looked really good and has gone up against the likes of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, Michael Pittman. They've done a really nice job containing these talents. Jamar Chase is the only one to go over 100 yards, and they were fine with the game plan of him going over 100 yards if it meant kind of playing that bend don't break style to alleviate the pressure of, say, the offense the way it was playing. So in this game, you got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith. I will be talking about them, isolating that topic in another video. But going into this, the Rams will have to limit the possessions the Eagles have. Sounds easier said than done, but we will point out Jalen Hurts has turned the ball over, although last week he looked pristine. This week he could. The Rams are due, and as long as they limit the possessions of the Eagles and don't allow DeAndre Swift to run all over them, the Rams have a really good chance of upsetting Philly at SoFi Stadium. If you like this, or you like any sort of video like this, you want to see more of it, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Also, be sure to like the content so it gets sent out all over YouTube. And just in case you didn't know, I am doing a breakdown of the Rams Colts All-22 tape at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you can check that out over on kick.com at 9 p.m. Eastern time. I hope to see you there. Kick.com/JKBogan. Link is in the description. And you guys take care. Later, folks.